Yeah, so my group works on carbon recycling, and carbon recycling could come from carbon capture. So if you, for instance, have plant material, plants capture the carbon, the CO2 from the atmosphere. And then there is carbon capture and utilization, and the utilization part is something that we work on a lot. What we do in our group is always by using microbes. So it's a microbial process that we run. One example of that is the power or the CO2 or power to protein. So if we call this CO2 to protein, we'll have, for instance, plants bind CO2 or capture CO2 from the atmosphere. These plants are then added to a digester, anaerobic digester, of which Denmark luckily has a lot of them. And the biogas that comes out of the digester has about 60% methane, which is what we use to run an engine with, but 40% of that is CO2. So this CO2 we would like to utilize. And it's in a sense low-hanging fruit. It's like very easy to take it off a digester. The gases are rather clean. They don't hurt on microbes. Actually, we're made by microbes, right? So then we feed this CO2 into a first bioreactor, and a bioreactor is you have to imagine almost like a brewery, very large vessels where there's microbes in there, in this case bacteria, and they convert the CO2 plus hydrogen, which we get from renewable energy, into acetate. And acetate is something that you have in your own kitchen. So it's called vinegar. And that vinegar is then fed into a second reactor where we add yeast cells, and yeast cells grow in there. And yeast cells consist about 40 to 50% of protein. So we grow these cells, and this can be used for human consumption. Actually, last night I went to a vegan restaurant here in Aarhus, and I had a meal that was partly produced with yeast pellets, and it was really nice. So you can see that we can make CO2 into proteins and into food, and this is one of the things that we want to do here in the center in Cork, because we can capture the CO2 with plants. Then we can use biogas, and we can convert it into food.